Hey guys, this is Danny, and in today's video, I will be giving you guys my thoughts, feedback, and opinions on all of the games on the Hive Bedrock server. I am going to be going from left to right on the podiums or pedestals that it shows all the games on the hub. So the first one we're going to be starting with is survival games. I used to play Mineplex survival games a lot back in the day on the Java edition. On Bedrock, it doesn't really run as well. I do think that the Hive server runs the best out of every single Bedrock server. It works well with the friends list. You can play with a bunch of friends. It just doesn't lag as much as the other ones. I do think it is a very well-run server compared to the other ones. But besides that point, the game individually, it definitely is similar and also different in ways. Like they both had a supply drop, which I do think is cool. One thing I do think is on the Hive server on Bedrock compared to how it was on Mineplex on PC. And well, this is PC as well, but on Java, is that the Mineplex supply drops were a lot more competitive than they are in here. I feel like when I used to go to a supply drop on there, it used to be really competitive. It used to be like a risk going to, like you'd most likely die if you went to them if you didn't have better stuff than the other people, or if you were better than them. I feel like on this server, at least on Bedrock, on Hive, when you go to the supply crates, the competition is a lot less, but that has to do with the level of the competitors you're facing against. A lot of people on here potentially could be mobile players or people that are new. Not all mobile players are bad, but there are a lot of people who just get Minecraft for the first time on mobile that aren't really experienced. That may not be as good, so that's a big portion of the community as well. So people in the game may not go as try hard as those on PC who have a mouse and keyboard. But yeah, I do wish that the supply drops were a little more competitive. So then it'd be like a challenge going to get them rather than just being like a free win. I do like the cows, however, because when someone finds them, people will definitely go after them, and they are also very hard to find. Well, not that hard to find. Well, if you're lucky, you'll find one, but they're scattered around the map, and it's always cool just being able to find a sparkling cow. It's like, there's no better feeling. Well, there are some better feelings, but there's a pretty good feeling being able to find a sparkling cow and getting some cool stuff from there. There's a lot of maps that are continuing to being made on the Hive, but I feel like on survival games, they haven't added a new map in a long time. It's really been the four for a while. I know survival games isn't one of the most popular games, but I do wish that they added a bunch of new maps, like for example Treasure Wars and Death Run, and Death Run has like 13, Treasure Wars has a bunch. Speaking of cows, here's a cow. There are plenty of games that do have a ton of maps, and I feel like survival games is one that doesn't. I do wish it had a few more to give some variety. At least maybe 6 maps would be good, because as of right now it only has 4, but that's something that hopefully they will add in the future. I'm not sure why, but survival games has been labeled as beta for a really long time. I feel like it's in one of the newer games. It's not new anymore. Like there are games that have come out since then, like Skywars. I'd say is one of the newer games as well, because even though it's not really new anymore, but compared to the other ones, it did come out a lot more recently. But yeah, survival games is still in the beta phase for some reason, and it's been out for a while. I know for granted it's not. Like I said, it's not one of the most popular. It is one of the lower ones in popularity. But for anyone who likes Hunger Games or just likes PvP and a sense of gathering loot and stuff, it is a good game in that way. One thing that I do wish would change, though, would be the armor. So every time you play this game, you pretty much have the armor I have here, but you'd have chain leggings. You'd usually have a diamond sword, diamond helmet, diamond boots, and a chain chestplate and leggings. I do wish that they added diamond chestplate and diamond leggings, but only very rarely, those ones that were hard to find. And also, I wish iron chestplate and leggings were more commonly found, maybe through cows or stuff, not only through supply drops, maybe in the spawn chest as well, but a little bit more often to give some more variety. Usually, if you're in the deathmatch, you'll be fighting up against someone with diamond boots, diamond helmet, diamond boots, chain, everything else, and a diamond sword. Like we pretty much have the same stuff here except for the diamond sword. These are pretty much the battles you will get whenever you play on here. But yeah, I do wish there was a little more variety for sure. But that's something that I don't think they want to do, because I know they don't want to add netherite and all that, which does make sense. That would be OP. But I do wish they had a little bit more access to diamonds. I know they used to have diamond pants a long time ago, or diamond leggings, but they did take them out. But yeah, hopefully they can over time maybe add some more stuff to the loot in this game to give some more variety between the fights. But yeah, that's pretty much all for survival games, and I'll be heading on to the next game, which will be Murder Mystery. So game number 2 that I'll be going over is, like I said, Murder Mystery. The biggest downside for me about Murder Mystery is it becomes less about figuring out who the murderer is and more about just gathering the most coins. Gathering the most coins definitely adds a fun factor to it rather than if you're an innocent having nothing to do other than just look around and be scared. I love the coin factor, it does add more to it, but my biggest downside to this game is how it's just for every time you play, it's just the coin collecting game. I wish there was more of a trying to catch the murderer aspect of it. Very similar to something like Among Us. For example, your job is to try and you have to look around and see who's suspicious and try and figure out who the murderer is. Usually, if you see the murderer, you just have to run or get enough coins to shoot them, which is, it's more about catching the murderer in the act and a lot less about seeing or trying to figure it out based off the way they're acting. I don't know how they'd implement that, but my biggest critique on this game for sure would be to make it so then finding the murderer is less about just seeing it and more about figuring out strategically. For example, another game that would be like this is a game like Clue, the board game, if you guys have played that. Clue is a game I really like. Personally, I like strategy games, and it's just pretty much about figuring out who the murderer was, who killed him, who killed who where, and it's very strategic. If there was a strategic aspect onto this game, it would make it the rounds different each time. It would make it more enjoyable to play rather than just running around and collecting coins, even though the coins are cool. I know they have a murder mystery. Oh wow, look, I'm the murderer. Yeah, I know they have a murder mystery aspect or a murder update for the murder game. I don't know if it's less about murder mystery, it's more just murder. On the Hive, but if they were to add that mystery aspect in a future update, which I know they have planned to update it, it'd be really cool. As the murderer, I do like the throwing, how you can throw the thing to get to people that are in the tall hiding spots, or people that hide like way up there, for example. I do think that is a good option for sure. For me, when I like to play this game, I like to play it and make it so I'm very inconspicuous. Like, there are people that run around holding their sword, and it's just the who can get enough coins. But for me, I like to play it where I keep my sword hidden and I try to be sneaky about it. One thing about the sheriff is how sheriffs have multiple chances to try and get the murderer. But when you're an innocent, for example, and you get a one-shot bow, if you shoot I do kind of like the challenge of it where if you shoot the one-shot bow, you're really nervous to do so and you want to make sure you do the right person because you only have one chance. But the one chance thing definitely does make it so after you shoot your bow, you're basically out of the game and you're just trying to survive. I wish there was some way where you can get a one-shot bow and you'd have to get 10 more coins to reload it or something, so you're not like out of the game if you miss your shot, for example. My biggest thing, like I've been saying, is just to make it more strategic and, you know, just add another layer to it so when you're an innocent, you don't feel like you're out of the game and you can go about things strategically. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And the next game I'll be going over is Treasure Wars. So the third game that I am going to be going over is Treasure Wars, which is one of the most popular games across most servers. For example, like Egg Wars, Cake Wars, Bed Wars, Treasure Wars. Basically, all the servers that have it is definitely one of the most popular games on here, and one of the most popular games across all servers. I'm playing on Mega right now, so I don't have to pay attention as much when doing it. If I was playing on solos and speaking at the same time, it would be very hard for me to keep up. Mega is more relaxing in a way, so like I'll still be playing in the background, but I'll be able to speak as well. Won't have to have my head on a swivel paying attention to whoever's around me. But yeah, Treasure Wars, I like how there's multiple things you could do. You can either play defensive, you can attack, you can try and get diamond armor, you can try and get iron armor, you can protect the mini bases. There's so many different strategies you could go for. And the thing that's cool about it is that usually if your team is fully on the defensive side, then you're not going to win, or your team's fully on the offensive side, your team may not win as well. You need to find a balance where you're protecting your treasure, and there are occasions where the other team is just not ready and you go in there and sweep them. But if the other team is somewhat just slightly coordinated, where their treasure is protected, you have people on the offense that are putting pressure on you, and there's also some people who are getting emeralds in the middle to try and stack themselves up with diamond armor and boom boxes and all that stuff. Another thing that's cool about it is how They have different levels of stuff you can get with the gear. There's a ton of loot. Recently, they've added the boom boxes, which add another level of dynamics to the game. Having different sword levels that cost more money, having bows. It adds like variety to the game. So instead of everyone having the same gear like in something like survival games, people will vary depending on how much gear and how much loot they've gotten, and also how many kills they've gotten and how many emeralds. For example, if you get a ton of kills in the middle, you'll get emeralds from the other players that they've picked up. So yeah, there are a ton of things and a ton of aspects to the game about it, which is one thing that's really cool. Personally, how I like to play this game is I like to get diamond armor. There are a lot of people that just go in there and attack really quickly. For me, I like to get geared up, because if I get geared up, I know that I pretty much can't lose to people that aren't geared up, if that makes sense. Getting diamond armor for me is my best way to try and win it. I like playing games with teams more than solo. I think it adds more strategic aspect to it. Playing with friends is always enjoyable, so when you're playing with friends, you need to be coordinated. It's basically like the group effort of having people in the right spots, defending when they have to, I really like about it. My biggest suggestion to Treasure Wars would be just continue to add as many approaches to win the game as possible. The new TNT and all that stuff that they added, the boom boxes, definitely adds some more level of dynamics to the game, new ways that you can go about things. I think the most recent update they did definitely is very good, and added a bunch of things to the game that do make it better. The fourth game I will be talking about is the most popular game on the Hive, which is Skywars. It is the most recent besides Ghost Invasion as well, and Skywars is definitely one of my favorite games, as long as it is everyone else's as well. Skywars, I love the ores aspect of it as well. The ores definitely add a ton to the game, how it has the random drops. It adds basically like the randomness of it, how each game is different depending on what you get, and each game is harder. I love how they added the chests in the middle to this game, which pretty much makes it so you have to kind of go to the middle if you want to get the good stuff. People that sit back at their islands and camp, they won't be rewarded because their stuff isn't as good. That's the super important part of this game. Like, if you want to get good stuff, you have to initiate, and you have to do PvP battles. You have to fight your opponents, and you have to risk your life to get good stuff. Going to the middle is very risky, but that's where the best stuff is, and I love that aspect of it. I like how they have a supply drop type thing as well with the mystery chest. I do want to do a video in the future if the mystery chest is worth it, because the mystery chest, I do feel like it does need to add something to make it really worth it. I think that the mystery chest, if you could go each game, you can kind of go on without it and still be able to win and do fine. But I wish there was like something in that mystery chest that was like, if you get the mystery chest, you're like set, and like it's a really good thing to get the mystery chest. And if you don't get the mystery chest, you can still have a chance, but just like getting the mystery chest is more competitive, because usually people will just they'll attack the mystery chest if it's there, but it's not like in survival games where there's a supply crate. People won't specifically go after the mystery chest. It's just something that's kind of there rather than it being like a must get. I think a must get would definitely be a good aspect to it for sure. I think my biggest critique on Skywars would be to make lapis, gold, and iron more valuable. When I play, I pretty much ignore gold, and I know it's something that like you don't need to win because it just drops random stuff. Sometimes the boom boxes and stuff can be semi-useful, but for me, I pretty much just ignore it when I play. I go for emeralds, diamonds, and the redstone, which, you know, it does make sense why they have this kind of stuff if you want like the special items like snowballs. But for me, like, I just don't use it, and I don't need to win. I'll be fine without it. So my biggest critique, like I said, would be to add some reason to go after and mine the other things like the iron and lapis. Like the spell of life book is okay, but like most of the time I won't even use it anyway. That would be my biggest thing. Like, you get blocks from here. The blocks are good for bridging. The gold is good for getting TNT and stuff. But most of the time I won't use it anyway, and I'll just go to the middle and I'll just do it that way. So yeah, that would be my biggest critique. But other than that, I think the game is really well rounded, and it's a very good game in general. The fifth game I'm going to be going into is Just Build. Just Build is a great game for all those people who are builder types, for example, like myself. I personally don't play Just Build that much, but for people who enjoy building it is a good thing to have that on the server. It's good to have something for all of the communities, like the building community, the PvP community, the parkour community, all those things. It is good to have. They have added a lot more of themes recently, and I do like that they added in the voting phase more things to vote for. But for Just Build, you know, it does get a little bit. It can, if you really like building, you can play it a bunch of times, but it can get a little boring, and it just I feel like the 5-minute rounds aren't like that long, but if you don't have motivation on the topic you're building, then it's gonna be really hard to make it through those 5 minutes. For example, when I do tournaments on here and I don't really want to build because I've done 50 rounds and I just want to get to judging, it's kind of like, there's like 5 minutes of sitting here doing nothing. Like, you can build, which does, if you're into the topic, the time does go by quickly. But if you're not into the topic, then it's going to be hard. But about within the game itself, I really think it would be really important for them to add new stuff. For example, there's so many things that they're missing out on. There's so many things that I wish they added to it that would make it so much better. But like being able to grow saplings would add so much. Adding all the new blocks. There's a lot of blocks that they're missing out on. A lot of slabs that they're missing out on. They're very limited on slabs here. Like, where's the dark oak? Do they even have dark oak slabs? They have dark oak stairs. Where are the dark oak slabs? There's like so many things that it's missing out on blocks wise that would add so much. Where are the bark blocks? Bark blocks would be able to add so much to this as well. The one thing that is nice is you can change the floor to anything you want. If I want to make netherwart block the floor, I can feel free to do that. If I want to make the floor out of pink glass, I'm pretty sure I can do that as well. That's one thing that is nice. You can choose whatever you want for the floor. I do like that, but I just wish there was some more block variants. You'd be able to build more. And I wish that the voting, that my biggest critique as well for this game would be that if you vote negatively, it will affect your score. There are people that just vote bad on everything, and people will vote wrong. I wish that if you vote well, your score will be boosted. If you vote poorly, your score will be negative, to do the people that vote meh on every build to stop them from winning. Because they vote bad, they get a decrease on their points. That would be really good for me, to make it fair for the people who do have the best build, but the other people who just don't vote fair. Yeah, that would be the biggest thing. Usually the person with the best build will do well, but depending on how many people don't vote fairly, it will affect it. So yeah, that's pretty much all for Just Build. I'll be going on to game number 6, which will be Hide and Seek. So game number 6, which is Hide. I've actually grown a newfound appreciation for Hide from my tournaments. The reason is because it's when I do my tournaments, I give points for getting kills as a seeker, which does add a it makes it like stressful. It makes it exciting trying to find those players. Every time you get a kill, it's like, yeah, that's really important because I'll get points off that. But if you're not playing in a tournament sense and you're just a hider, it could be very boring just sitting in the same spot waiting there. The one thing that the swords are pretty much useless on here. I'll get into the critique, the biggest addition / critique later. But if you're sitting in this spot, you have pretty much nothing to do. You'll just be chilling here. You can just, use the taunt menu and just be like, yay, whoa, flame cloud. It just gets like, there's really nothing much to do here. Just sit there and wait. They give you a bow on Mineplex Hide and Seek. You can get a bow, and you could shoot people, and every time you shoot your bow, it will upgrade your weapon every time you hit people, and you are able to kill seekers as well, which adds a lot of fun to it. In this one, you can't kill people. They give you a sword, but no matter if you have 16 people hitting the seeker with a wooden sword, it doesn't make a difference. I don't even know why they give you a wooden sword. There really is no point. But if you're just sitting here, there's nothing much you can do. If you're running around, there's no way to defend yourself. You're just pretty much running around trying to not get killed by the seekers. It's just kind of, when you're a hider, I personally think it's more fun than when you're a seeker, it's more fun than being a hider. Being a hider is very one-sided. You just sit around and use taunts, pretty much. Taunts you don't really do much with them. If they added more fun to the hider dynamic, like adding bows, or adding something where the weapons that they gave you actually made a difference, I think that would be more fun. Or adding, I don't know. I don't know exactly what they add, but just adding more ways for the hider. It would add a lot more to this rather than it just being time to sit in the spot all day and hope I don't get found. Like, I've been running around. Oh, a crafting table stole my spot, bruh. So rude. I don't even know where to go now. Like, this sword they gave me, watch this. I'm going to go in there with the sword, and I'm going to start hitting someone, and there's not going to make a difference. Because regardless, I'll hit you 50 times with the sword, and it doesn't do anything. I hit you a lot, and you're not dead. I died. So it's kind of dumb. But yeah, that's pretty much that. That would be my biggest critique. Here's a furnace. What the hacker? Oh, don't you love hackers? Hackers are the best. But yeah, a hacker caught on camera. Oh yeah, I love that. Hackers caught on camera are my favorite. But yeah, and the last game I will be going to is Death Run, which is actually one of my personal favorite games. I like Death Run a lot, but it can get a little one-sided. But yeah, let's head over to Death Run. I'd have to say this is my favorite game. As you can see, I am level 40 in this game. There are a lot of people who do like Death Run, but there are a lot of people who don't. The people who like PvP don't really like Death Run, but the people who like parkour and racing and time trials, they do like Death Run. For example, I like both of them, so I do like Death Run. I like trying to beat my personal score, but my biggest addition to Death Run on here is I really wish they kept track of your records on how that's something I wish they did on all the Hive games. If they kept track of records for like the most kills you've gotten in a game, the best time you've had on each map. Like, they don't keep track of that anywhere. There's no, like, oh, on the zoo map, for example, which is this one, you've gotten a time of this, and you've been able to beat, and your goal is to beat that. Once you're level 40, there's pretty much nothing to go for, unless you're going for quest points. All I'm doing is just running around, trying to win, trying to get the most wins possible. But there's no more prize to it. When you're a death, when you're not getting any XP for it, there's no fun in it. Like, killing a lot of people could be somewhat entertaining as a death, but when you're not getting any reward for it, when you're not trying to beat a high score, unless you keep track of this stuff manually, which you can do, you can keep track of your best time manually if that's something you would want to do. But yeah, I don't know, it's just, for me, it's not as fun as it is when you get level 40, because there's nothing to go for. There's no, like, prizes. If you got, like, for 1,000 wins, you got, like, a costume. For 5,000 wins, you got a costume. Adding more rewards to the game throughout all games as well, that would be something I'd really like to make it so for when people are level 40, it's not as one-sided. You know, making there a reason to play. I love the new feature where you can make the players small, because if you couldn't do that, that would drive me nuts when all the players get in the way. But now that you can make them small, it helps out. But yeah, pretty much for Death Run, just adding more reasons, keeping track of records, and keep giving you more reason to play when you get to max level. At least on Treasure Wars, you know, you still have that fun PvP aspect of it. When you do get to level 75, it definitely does take away from the grind, but it still can be fun to do that. Or max level on Skywars, the games are still strategic. But on Death Run, if you're not going for XP, for me personally, I don't really have a reason to. But yeah, that's pretty much all. So thank you guys for watching this video. That is basically all of my thoughts and updates, thoughts and opinions on what updates they can do and about these games. I am excited to see more of these updates over time, to see what they add. I know they have a Murder Mystery and Hide update plan, which I'm super looking forward to see what they add to that. And also, hopefully they add a new game sometime in the future. I know they have one planned, but I'm just hoping it comes out sometime soon. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy, make sure to subscribe and like the video. Also, crush the bell to be notified for when other videos come out. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day, and goodbye.